Hi everyone, guys. It's Artem Mushin-Makedonskiy with Business Storytelling, and here with me today is Kyle Gray, amazing entrepreneur, story strategist, and the author of the book Story Engine and one book that's upcoming. We'll talk about it today. Kyle is amazing in his connection of stories and entrepreneurs, and thank you so much, Kyle, for being here with us today. It means a whole lot.
Artem, I'm so excited that we can connect across the world and start sharing stories. I think it's what brings us all together, and I'm so honored to have you on the podcast or be on your show. I have a little bit of a sore throat today. I was on a river trip this weekend and doing a bunch of shouting, so forgive me for everybody, but I sound a little bit like a frog today, but hopefully the knowledge will still be there.
And on recording, it sounds like, it's male voice with strong notes.
Super deep, yeah.
Thanks, Zoom for that. So, Kyle, let's get down to business. Could you tell me your story? Like, what do you do? How do you help people with the storytelling? What do you do with it in business?
Yeah, so I have been obsessed with storytelling for a really long time. I think I can remember kind of as a teenager always wanting to. I was a musician. I was playing guitar, writing songs for a long time. I had this big vision of being a rock star. And that was the only way that I thought I could live a happy life, was by playing music and writing songs and making impacts through that. As time passed on, it didn't seem like things changed, and I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself to create a lot of great music right away. And so I kind of soured myself on it. But over time, I started working. I found the passion for storytelling again in actually creating content, writing great articles, sharing knowledge. It was the same, like writing a good song and creating a good experience was very similar to creating great content that had an impact on people, that made a difference. And I really started to love that. I started working for a company called WP Curve, which was it's a startup based out of San Francisco, but the founders were Australian, and we were working remotely all over the world. I was living in Thailand while working for the startup, and I was slowly creating blog content for them, sharing who they were, what they were doing, what was important to them, and slowly building up a presence there. I've also recently, I've kind of closed the loop on music too, because there is not only just like writing good songs, but I also loved performance. And I started craving speaking from stages and telling my story and live in front of people, as well as creating content. Now I incorporate all of those things into what I do today. I help people with a process I call the One Clear Path to Sales, which incorporates great digital content and a great story and speaking presence. So the One Clear Path to Sales has 3 simple components that I work with my clients in. The first is getting one clear message. You need to understand where your audience is and the message that will resonate with them. This means things like you need to understand, like a good example is if you were a yoga teacher selling yoga classes online. If you are selling yoga classes to somebody who's never done yoga before, then you're going to say certain things. And if you're trying to sell a yoga course to somebody who's really experienced in it and has been practicing for a while, but maybe you have something different, then the language is a little bit different. So getting clear on that message is powerful. Then you put it into one clear lesson. You teach and empower your audience with your story and with great content, with great knowledge to share, so that they feel empowered to solve the problem with you. And finally, one clear offer. Once you have that message that gets their attention and you teach them and empower them, you give them your offer, your one clear next step move forward with you. This simple system, this is the core of a great business. If you can get all three of these pieces together, then you can predictably grow your business. You always have a system that works for you, and it's very, very powerful. So that's how I love to work with people.
Wow, I received really more than some of your title. Thank you for so much explanation on that. And you know, it resonates on so many levels. First of all, you have a personal story, and then you have a structure of the things you do with business, and it's really great to hear. Thank you so much. Great.
Absolutely.
Kyle, you know, talking about three things, you've once described that story is somehow connected to the buyer's journey, and it has like three classic points: know, like, and trust. And different people tell different things about stories that entrepreneurs and salespeople should tell. Do you have your view, like what stories should we tell on each stage, or is it just one big story for the whole three stages, or is there any connection?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what you want to understand, this goes into the one clear message category. And so you want to understand how aware your audience is of the problem of you, and this will impact how your message is shared. So there's three stages in the buyer's journey, like you were mentioning, and let's explain those first. We've got first, know, which is just they need to be aware of you, and they need to be aware of the problem. Some people at this stage, they might not even know that they have this problem or that it exists. And if you try and sell something to somebody who doesn't know that they have this problem, it's going to go right over their head. They'll ignore it. So there's certain kinds of stories and information in here. This is where you create kinds of content. This is kind of the manifesto stuff. This is your aspirational, inspirational things. These are often the kind of videos designed for this that you see going viral across YouTube and Facebook and all the other platforms. And what you want to do here is just get their attention and get them to identify with it. So you give them something to feel good. You give them something to feel empowered and a little bit smarter, or something that's aligned with who they are and what they believe, so that they can share it and catch their attention. Then, so once they know they have a problem and they know you exist, then we move on to like, which is, this is how we differentiate ourselves, because it's likely once somebody knows that they have this problem, they're doing research into it. And because we live in a global economy and a global world, no matter what any of us are doing, there's always 10 other people, at least, that we're competing against, probably more like 10,000. So how do we set ourselves apart? This can be with having our story, our own unique story. This can be our own unique process for solving the problem, or maybe something, our unique angle, something that we consider very important, that really defines who we are and what we're doing. And finally, trust. With trust, I'll take a step back. So like content, the content and the stories and what you want to share when you want to create this effect is sharing how you do your work, sharing your beliefs, differentiating yourself from your competition. Everyone's telling you this, I'm telling you this. And finally, trust. So trust is a tricky one, and a lot of people just think it's about getting to trust you as an entrepreneur, and that is an important part. So you need to have things that say, hey, if you invest with me or if you move forward, you can trust me to get results. But there's a more subtle and more important aspect of it, where they also have to trust themselves to get the results. Because people they can believe that you are an expert and that you are great, but if they don't believe that they can solve the problem with your system and your process, then they're not going to move forward with you still. And so you need to create trust in themselves, which is a great this is where some of your education and empowering people, sharing here's how you can get results, and giving people examples and maybe stuff that they can use right away to make an impact and feel momentum and get a result. That's when you can really start to build trust and accelerate your relationships with your clients.
That's so good that I've just opened the word and wrote it down, because trusting not only you but themselves is just pure gold. Thank you. Thank you for this this short presentation. Okay, Kyle, you're just talking a lot about how do you work with the clients, and I guess you have like really a major experience. But could you give me and my audience a small example where you helped the client with stories like how did it happen? What happened there?
Yeah. I'll share my own story and kind of how all of those, and I'll help you combine all of those pieces. So for a long time, I've been working with startups. I've been working with different entrepreneurs and consultants, and I've done well, and I've been very skilled, but I didn't have something to differentiate myself for a long time. I was, for the first few years, I was probably discounting myself too much. And I wasn't very confident in what I had to offer. Simultaneously, as I was growing my business and working with people, I started to find I had some strange health problems coming up. As we were talking, I think before we got on this recording, we both love to ski. I'm a big rock climber. I just got back from a river rafting trip this weekend. So I love being outdoors. I love being active. It's a very important part of my life. And 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't hike more than, a half a kilometer or less without some serious knee pain. My jaw started feeling like it was going to fall off my face if I chewed, anything that wasn't soft,
Oh, man.
And it was like, this was very strange. I was in my mid-20s and it just didn't seem like that should be happening to somebody my age. I discovered I had an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's disease. And so this was heartbreaking at first, because I thought I was just going to be stuck with this thing for life. But at a workshop that I was helping teach, where I was helping people get onto stages and share their story from the stage, this workshop happened to be filled with health and wellness experts. And so I sat down next to this woman named, she introduced herself. She said, "Hi, my name is Dr. Grace Liu, and I help people overcome chronic autoimmune conditions through gut health." And all of a sudden, everything I started to learn about marketing and storytelling connected with everything I was learning about my health and how to fix it. And they combined, and I said, "Oh, so your audience must feel like this. They try and do this, but that happens and they do that." And she was like, "You need to come work for me." Because
Great.
so within a couple of months, I understood the value of what she provided right away, because I was suffering profoundly. So I was able to help her grow her business, create better products, ghostwrite a book, and create a product that she can launch over and over again. And meanwhile, she was helping me with my health. And within just a few months, the joint pain faded. I had terrible anxiety for, you don't really know why you have anxiety usually. You feel anxiety and then your brain makes up a reason. But it's never like, oh, my gut health is a little weird. You never think that. It's like, oh, it's because I'm a bad entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm not working hard enough, right? Yeah. So within it had totally changed my life. And that's when I realized, because of my unique story and my unique experience, these are an audience that I can connect with and resonate with. And sharing my story of my recovery helps me bond with those with health and wellness experts. So now, though I still work with many different entrepreneurs, I've found a real sweet spot with health and wellness experts, helping them share their stories, because they have a lot of challenges similar to many entrepreneurs. They sell high ticket products, They wanna build their business online, but they've spent so much time becoming experts in healing people that they don't know anything about digital marketing, and they need a lot of help. And that's where I can help them now, and I can see their value and share their story, specifically in this context. So that's kind of how I've been able to differentiate myself and have my story build trust with this audience that I care about helping, and I love to help them. And I love to work with these people because I'm still, it's a process of recovering my health and growing in that is something I can always be learning more in and developing in. So it's interesting and engaging for me. So it just connected all of these different pieces. And so when I work with my clients, I try to find those stories that say, this is why I'm unique and this is why I'm the best fit for you. You could have tons of different digital marketers work for you, but I see the value in what you do and I believe in it more than anyone else. And that's why you want to work with me.
That's just wow. I mean, you just told me not only a case, but also a personal story. Thank you so much for sharing. This is amazing. I really felt my heart beating when you were talking about this disease because I cannot even imagine if I had no ability to ski or it's terrifying, man. You've been through a lot. And it really connects, and it really connects with the buyers. And if I imagine myself being a healthcare expert, I would really trust in you because you my idea. And what interesting this thing came to my mind. You were using this technique when you retold the story to the Lynn what's her name or
Grace Liu.
Grace Liu, yeah. So you've retold the content as a story. Am I right?
Yeah. And it's easy, and there's teaching points in there. And there's another story element. This is more of a personal story. It's, storytelling is great for how you engage with your clients, but learning these techniques helps you change it's important to be writing your own story all the time in your head. And so this has changed this autoimmune condition, which used to be the worst thing that ever happened to me, to be one of the best things. Now I understand before when I was, before this and before I realized what was going on, I was like, no, I'm fine. It's never going to happen to me. Like I took my health for granted and I took a lot of these things for granted. And now I really value it. And now it connects me with people that I love to serve and grow with. So it's become one of the best things ever to happen to me, which is incredible.
That's great. Thank you. And that's really valuable. You're thinking deeper than not only the business level, but also this human level. This is great to hear. Thanks. Thank you so much. Okay, Kyle, since we're talking about the sales and the whole process, I know that you've been working on a book on storytelling and sales, and I'm personally reading a book right now, that rereading actually, that's called 7 Stories Every Salesperson Must Tell. And I know that there are some books on the market on this topic, so could you please evaluate what are you bringing in the book? Like, what's your main focus for it? And how is it called, of course?
So I just released the Selling with Story. And so this book is actually about the one clear path to sales process. The first third of the book is dedicated to getting your one clear message, then putting together your one clear lesson, and then putting it all together into one clear offer. And the reason I wanted to put this book together is to just, my previous book, The Story Engine, which has been very, very successful on Amazon. But I felt a little bit of a gap. It's how you can consistently tell your story over time, build a following and build a brand. But there was I felt there was a missing piece, which helped people get results right away, get to work right away, and improve what you were doing. And so that's what I wanted. I wanted to create a system that anybody could start a business with, and just how do we have the fundamentals of what we need. And so it's actually maybe like a prequel, a book that I would hope you would read before The Story Engine. And again, it incorporates everything that I've been learning about storytelling over the last few years into one great package. But there has been with this book and this launch, it's been interesting because I've had to become my own case study even in this launch. Yeah. So there's as entrepreneurs and everybody out there, we're going to face a lot of challenges. Many of them we don't like. We can prepare a lot of different things, but sometimes no matter how well prepared we are, no matter what we're doing, there's things that are out of control or just things that'll take us by surprise. And so what happened to me in this book is when I launched it, Amazon ended up accidentally listing the title as Bluetooth headphones instead of the book. So I have spent a lot of time. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been an adventure. I've spent so much time. One of my weaknesses occasionally is I'll make typos, and typos drive me crazy when it happens. And so I wanted to make sure this book was flawless. We did a lot of editing and checked every little detail of it. And then all of a sudden, once the book is launched, there's this biggest glaring typo in the title, the place where I would least want it ever. And it's the most, it's just right there. And I started telling people about this, and they're like, there's got to be a story in there. And so I've actually, I've started sharing the story, and it's become something a little bit endearing. I've got to get it fixed shortly, but it's been about a month of trying to work back and forth with Amazon. And instead of just trying to like force things and be like, just as an entrepreneur, you're like, I want this to work right now. But I've just had to take a step back. And I've actually, I made a podcast recently where I wrote a blues song to Amazon, begging them to fix the book name. And so I've been incorporating more creativity, sharing and enjoying and smiling in the strange like misfortune that happens, because I know that this book, and this is an important lesson for everybody out there, we're in this for the long game. And so a couple of weeks of confusion on Amazon is not a big deal compared to I wrote this book to last for years. And so we've got to keep that in perspective and keep who we are in perspective and make sure that little setbacks don't become bigger problems than we need them to be.
I mean, that's great. Can I still purchase the famous headphones by Kyle Gray?
Yeah. If you download, it'll be the strangest Bluetooth headphones you've ever gotten, but it's a very useful information book. So yeah, it's still, as of the time of us recording this, listed on Amazon as Bluetooth headphones.
Wow, I mean, that's just something to play around with. Like, you have this improv technique, like, yes, and like your book is a headphones. Okay, well, it connects like a Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Great.
Exactly.
Great, that's a great adventure. Okay, Kyle, thank you for sharing. I will get my hands on it as soon as I finish the story engine, because I'm like close to the end of it, but the time consuming.
Brilliant. Oh, well, you're going through a lot of books, so I appreciate you taking time.
I'm doing my best, because like for half a year now, like as we are recording this, I've been doing interviews, and it's like 15 plus right now. Started with Paul Smith because just I want to ask him a question, and then there's a killing spree of interviews, as I call it. So yeah, you're on my list. So yeah, that's great to hear. Okay, next one, Kyle. It's actually a trick question, because have you ever had a situation in your career where you faced such a challenge that you said, well, that's not a place and time to use stories. We have to switch a different content marketing or digital marketing instrument. Have you ever had such situations?
Yeah, I think there's lots of times. One of the things I've been working on recently is I've been working with coaches that can help me discover really what kind of business do I really want to build that truly lights me up. I've spent a lot of time like building digital courses and just kind of building and selling a static digital course though it seemed like that was what, like, everybody, you need that digital course. It's the scalable product. It's going to be good. And trying to sell it didn't really like connect with me that well. I didn't feel like it was the useful, incredible thing that I was really proud of. And part of me, again, this is kind of like storytelling. There's a couple of ways I could interpret this. I could say, well, I'm just not good at making these kind of courses or these kind of things. Or maybe I went about it the wrong way. But instead I was like, well, maybe this isn't how I love to interact with people. And I actually much more enjoy having like a 2-day workshop where I can work in person with people, because I love being present, and I love listening carefully and leaning in and hearing the gold that other people have in their stories. And so instead of having a static digital course, I found much more success working with people in person and being able to have that personal human connection. Why I love stories is they create that human connection. They help us relate to each other. And so the more of that connection I can create in my life and my business, that's how I want to build it and grow it.
Wow, that's, I'm actually pleased to hear that, because I'm working on an idea for a course right now, and I was thinking about, well, stories, live, digital, and we have such a big country, like we can share this feeling, but it's the thing in Russia that we have like 7-10 major cities and just the rest of the country. So basically people really need digital here, and it's a big thing, it's a big trend. So and I'm really thinking, is this like a luxury that will only stay true to the core and be like this one-on-one or one-on-group thing in the classroom? And I strongly believe it right now. Well, at least right now. So,
yeah. And again, this was my personality and who I am, because there are people who can create digital courses and be very successful with those. And your situation, I think, with your mission and who you are, Artem, you need to spread that message as far as possible right now. And so I think it's absolutely aligned. And I've worked with people to create digital courses. It's just what do I like to do, and who am I? And I think it's a process of discovery that unfolds as we grow as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, well, I'm on the same page really, but I've been thinking about giving the basics and then switching to this like communication mode, or switching them, like maybe some part digital, some part, whatever. Just great to hear some thoughts from you on this matter. Thank you. Kyle, you had I was going to ask you, why is the story an interesting point for not only for influence but making this human connection, but we've already talked pretty much about it. So I really want to reflect on this one. You have a line that's really useful for me for getting work with companies done, because when I've learned it became really useful immediately. It goes like, I help blah blah to blah blah for their business to get blah blah. And this is amazing. It structures the head so much. And you know what I see here is something familiar to the why concept of Simon Sinek. If you're familiar, could you comment on like, what is it different or similar, or like how do they compare?
Yeah, of course. So what you're saying is that it's a signature statement. And this is something, again, that like a lot of very smart people, we have challenges coming up with simple and concise things, because we have so much knowledge that we just want to like dump it all onto people. But really, there's only a couple of things that we need to do. There's only a couple of things that story and that needs to accomplish. And it needs to understand, like, why we care, why we're different. And that's really just about it. And so if we can put that all together in a simple line. So, and it goes like this. And again, this is like the foundational piece. If you can come up, it's simple. It's not necessarily easy, but once you get this organized, then everything else can grow from there. But it's, I help audience, overcome certain problem. And then with this awesome benefit, with this extra flair, or without having these other problems that you might associate with it. And so it shares again, how we help people, how we serve people, and then it adds our own little twist at the end. I help you lose weight without going to the gym every day. I help you grow your business without having to build up a huge Facebook following, or you can add those different pieces in there to really make it unique and powerful.
You know, I've actually opened the Word document once again just to write it down. I have it for insights. You know, this little twist that makes like a cherry on the pie. Great. Okay, so considering the Cynic model, so I hear that it's more like a groundbreaking ground statement. So yeah, I hear a lot of value in this. And maybe could you share an insight or like a small tip on how does a company or a solo entrepreneur find this this statement? Because it's really ground, but it's really hard to find. It's not easy.
It is hard to find. Honestly, I struggle with a lot of these things, even myself in my own business. It's sometimes difficult to do entirely on your own, because as entrepreneurs and who we are and what we're doing, we're always like, we're so familiar with our own stuff and our own knowledge. So it's difficult to find the gold in who we are and what we're doing, because our genius, the best parts of us and how we can really help people seems so there. It's just obvious and commonplace to us. And so we usually discount that. We're like, well, that, you know, I did that so easily, like who cares? But that's when you really want to find it. And so how you want to do this, if not working with a professional or somebody who's very skilled and can listen and bring this forward, is by interacting with your customers and really finding out like where just being very present with them and seeing what really lights them up. Maybe there's something that maybe it's something in your customer service. Maybe it's something in how you're selling or connecting with them, or and a lot of times it has to do with your own past and what you care about and what you find important. And these can be things that, aren't necessarily within your business. Like I was saying with health, this wasn't something that, it wasn't a strategic move that I was planning. It was something that kind of came to me. And so I think a lot of people, whether, in our childhoods or how we became the person we are, there are these moments where we've made decisions that we've created our values and we've created our whys. And I think these catalyst moments in your story are the things that can really help separate you and bring forward your why you care, and things like that. I go through a few exercises in Selling with Story on how you can discover some of that. And it takes a lot of time and reflection. And I would just recommend taking time every day to think about, like, well, what was a story in my life where I really decided that I needed help on something that was beyond me, and how did I approach that, and how did that work? Or when did I really decide that this was who I was going to do, or I was no longer going to be this way and I was going to be like that. Oftentimes it's the challenges that we face that define us.
Great. That's actually resonating on so many levels, because it's more like a narrative than storytelling. It's even deeper, finding yourself, finding the true self. Great.
Absolutely.
I have my psychology background. I'm a bachelor in psychology, and it really resonates here. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you said that you were doing music. What's your background as a study? Like, is it psychology or something?
So I did international studies and international affairs. I have a master's degree in international affairs. Wow. And basically what that was is I didn't really know who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do in college, in university, but I knew I loved to travel and I knew I loved to explore. And so I was just looking for any excuse I could to travel and explore. And that's actually what also brought me into entrepreneurship. I started hearing stories about people just like you who are growing businesses from their laptops and coffee shops around the world and creating a lot of value, but still being able to travel and explore and live their best lives.
Wow, great. That's even more connecting. Thank you. This ability and the will to discover, that's something that is heard from you. That's like part of you. Thank you. Great. Okay, Kyle, I have two questions that I typically ask all the storytellers I come across, and they're just like to make it more resourceful for the folks in here. And the first one goes like this. What would be your advice for people who want to develop their storytelling skills and are only in the beginning of the way? What would you advise them to do?
I would start to again start to explore some of the moments in your life and start with why is a great place to read or study and start to create things just like you're doing. By just we don't really know who we are until we start creating and getting feedback and connecting with our audience. A lot of the times this can mean, we'll never feel ready. Like I doubt you felt ready, or I doubt you felt like your first YouTube video was perfect by any means. But through going through this and same with my articles and same with my podcasts and same with my books and everything I've ever created, I learn from each one. I grow from each one, and I'm discovering myself through the creation process. So it's not about having it all figured out or even having that perfect signature statement like what we were talking about. It's about taking those steps forward and actually living the story and living the adventure and being aware and reflective as you're moving forward.
Great. Living, experiencing, and being reflective. That's a great advice. And it's much more than just storytelling, like business type. Okay, Kyle, one more, and that's my favorite one. Imagine there's a phrase, and I'd like you to finish it. It goes like this. It takes one thing to get from a good story to a great story. And that one thing is tricky.
I would have to say a little bit of pain, probably. It's something, there's a phrase that I try to tell myself often that I learned actually while I was in school, but it's called accept the discomfort. And as entrepreneurs and as humans, we're going to face inevitable challenges and setbacks and hardships. And again, I really believe that if we can start to see these things as not only like we don't just have to suffer in them and resent them, but as soon as we can start to see that they may be there's gifts within them that vastly outweigh any challenges or any hindrances that we've faced. So there's treasures in these things, and I think too often as humans we like to be comfortable, and we don't really we would rather not have those kind of things, but it's what defines us and it's what connects us all, where nobody makes it through this world unscarred or even without a few good stories to tell. And so just be sure to when you're facing your challenges, accept them and embrace them and love them, and find the good stories in there, because these will become the tools that you can use to connect with your audience and grow.
Wow, that's a great and deep answer. Thank you.
Of course.
I've recently had Terence Gargiulo as a guest, and he said that one thing is love, and now you say it's pain, and those are like two of my favorite answers so far, because it's more than the story itself. It's about the life and the being and the humanness. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much for being here today. It was really a pleasure. I have a document of insights right now, and I'm going to share them on the 13th on my webinar, and it's going to be great right now.
Yeah.
So to sum up, could you give some context for folks to find you and your books and your headphones?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if you want to check out the new book, go to sellingwithstory.com. untitled.co. And you can learn more about me. You can check out my podcast and my articles, a lot of my content and my books, and get in touch with me at thestoryengine.co. I'm sure we'll have those links in the description of this. You can also find me on Instagram at KyleTheGray23. I have a small YouTube channel right now with just a couple of video interviews. I'm hoping to grow that more myself, and thank you for inspiring me to continue with that. Yeah, that's how you can find me.
Great. I'll definitely put the links in the description. And thank you once again for finding the time. This was amazing. I wish you all the good stories to come.
Likewise. I'll talk to you soon, Artem.
Great. Thank you so much.